In today's episode, a teenage surfer is attacked by two great white sharks at the same time, caught entirely on camera. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is one of the rarest great white shark attack stories ever recorded. Welcome to Final Affliction. Most experts agree that great white shark attacks rarely occur. However, it's often a violent and gruesome scene when they do. After all, the great white shark is one of evolution's success stories, with 7 rows of razor-sharp teeth and a powerful bite that can tear almost any sea creature in half. These creatures are one of the most formidable ocean predators. Once you enter their territory, it's essential to recognize the danger of being around such an incredible hunter. In one unfortunate instance, on July 17, 2000, a surfer by the name of Shannon Ainsley was in the middle of a session when not one but 2 great white sharks went after him. An event so rare that if it wasn't recorded on camera, it would be hard to believe. 15-year-old Shannon Ainsley just finished the first day of school after a nice long winter break, and like most days, he was ready to surf. At such a young age, Shannon became incredibly passionate about surfing. He only wanted to hit the waves and practice his newfound love. However, school would lessen his time in the ocean, making him all the more eager to go surfing that day. 2 years ago, their father dropped Shannon and his older brother off at the Nahoon Beach in East London, South Africa. He remembered it was 7 a.m. and their dad only gave them bread, bananas, and a surfboard. With nothing else to do, Shannon decided to try his luck at this new and exciting activity. Upon hitting the waves, Shannon and his older brother immediately fell in love. They became almost addicted to surfing, riding the variety of excellent and powerful waves around the coast of East London. Now he was 15, and that was all he wanted to do. It was a warm winter's day on July 17th, and Shannon planned on surfing the waves of Nahoon Reef, one of the area's most popular surfing and swimming spots. Upon arriving, Shannon grabbed his surfboard and went to the shores of the beach. He gazed at the churning waves in the distance and began to run through his mental checklist of prerequisites in surfing. Even though the reef was famous among surfers, Shannon didn't want to take a chance surfing in bad conditions. After all, it was also filled with sharks. He gazed at the slightly cloudy sky, eyeing if enough sunlight was peering through the overcast. There were no birds around the area, nor was there a strong fishy smell in the air. All were good indicators. The waves were perfect on that warm winter's day, as they were just overhead high and there was very little wind. It seemed like a very good day to be out surfing. Shannon tested the waters a few feet away from the shore. It was warm, even for winter conditions. Today was just too perfect. Shannon couldn't resist the urge to surf. Heading into the waters, Shannon began paddling away further from the shore to meet the waves. He floated on the water's surface while waiting for the ideal timing. Eventually, the wind came in his favor. He pushed against his board, raising his torso up as the wave welcomed him. Meanwhile, his brother and their friends were doing the same thing a few yards away. Shannon took off. For a moment, he was carefree and unstoppable, unaware that a dangerous force was brewing beneath the surface. He continued riding the waves just like this over and over. After an hour and a half, something changed. Shannon's brother and their friends were riding waves. However, they suddenly caught the slightest whiff of sardines. This made them uneasy, prompting them to leave the water. After all, they believed the scent could attract sharks. While Shannon caught a whiff of the sardines himself, he didn't want to stop the surfing session. Instead, he stayed in the water with the rest of the surfers and waited for another wave. As he paddled along, Shannon caught another big wave. He was preparing to hit it, but suddenly something terrible happened. From his left, a large great white shark closed in and burst through the water, colliding with Shannon's board. With speeds reaching 19 kilometers per hour, the shark's impact against Shannon's board was incredible. This immediately took him off balance from the board and sent him flying a few feet in the air. As Shannon flew into the air, he crashed into the wave and immediately met the marauding beast. The shark welcomed him with jaws wide open, biting his left hand and surfboard, then dragging him underwater. It wasn't until this point when Shannon realized that he was being attacked by a powerful predator. Thanks to the shock of the encounter, the shark's bite was numbed, and Shannon couldn't feel anything. While the intrusive predator was dragging Shannon deeper underwater, another massive great white shark was sizing him up, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Speeding toward the commotion, the shark swiped for Shannon's head and shoulders. However, it missed because the other shark already had him by the hand. Unexpectedly, the second shark's presence must have done something to the first shark. The beast slowly loosened its grip on Shannon's hand after encountering the second great white shark. Shannon started to see things slow down. He thought he was in a dream. Unfortunately, the excruciating pain that was now kicking in bolted him back to reality. And just as he regained composure, Shannon found himself staring 2 feet away from a shark face to face. For a few seconds, the creature's beady eyes stared at Shannon as if it was in awe. Shannon could see the rows of teeth inside the creature's jaws. That was how close he was to the great white shark. Strangely, the creature didn't bother him. It swam away, brushing along his back and never appearing again. Regaining his composure, Shannon quickly swam to the surface and found his surfboard. A chunk of the board was missing. All it had was the bite mark of a large great white shark. Shannon climbed onto his surfboard, but then he was shocked to see that his right hand was barely hanging off from his forearm. His hand had puncture wounds, and he could see his wrist bones sticking out. Shannon was about 100 meters out at sea while bleeding, and all he could think about was getting back to shore. With the amount of blood in the water, his biggest fear was more sharks being attracted to the area to finish him off. Due to his injuries, the only way he could get back to shore was to wait for another wave. For the next 20 minutes, Shannon slowly paddled toward the shore, waiting for a wave that never came. He eventually made it to dry land and called for help. Soon, Shannon was rushed to the hospital, where he had to undergo a complicated surgery for his right hand. He almost lost 2 fingers, but eventually recovered fully. After the attack, Shannon rightfully developed a fear of sharks, causing him to stay away from surfing for a while. However, Shannon eventually found a way to overcome his fears. He started a surfing school in Jeffreys Bay and later relocated to Norway so he could teach the national surfing team. What happened to Shannon was quite frightening, but because he returned to surfing, it wasn't the last time he had to face the fearsome predator. In one instance, Shannon had to save a surfer from the jaws of another shark. According to him, it was much more frightening than his own attack, as he had more presence of mind and was more aware of what was happening. Today, Shannon is highly active on social media and has amassed a following. While Shannon considers himself very lucky, he hasn't stopped doing the thing he loves most, surfing. However, we must all remember that Shannon's case was very isolated, and most shark attacks involving great whites end very badly, often in someone's horrifying final affliction.